Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It is FPC Radio Live. It's Friday, October 20th. And John, we had a pretty exciting Thursday night game last night. It started out not so exciting, a little bit of looks like a Jags blowout, but the Saints obviously made it pretty interesting and quite entertaining, not going to lie. And of course, we got some good baseball action yesterday, of course. But the biggest news, the Bruins are 3-0, John. The Boston Bruins are 3-0. And like I said, they're going to win 75 games this year.
Right. Does that include the playoffs or just the regular season?
Oh, good one. Good one. I'll get back to you on that one. Hopefully that includes the postseason, which means they would need to win 59 games. Yeah, 59 games in the regular season, and that would equal a Stanley Cup. So mission 16W. Remember that. 16 wins, John. That's all.
Isn't that an exit on the New Jersey Turnpike?
It is. It is to the Meadowlands, actually, as a matter of fact. So the Devils used to really play that one up. I remember that. That's actually where I got it from, John. Just so you know, I'm not that creative and I'm not that witty this early in the morning. So I had to steal that from something. Weird. I don't know. Well, I was kind of hoping you didn't know that, so I would look a little bit smarter.
I covered an NBA All-Star game in 1982 before you were even born. I was like 19 at the time, and the league was so receptive to me. Not that I was like some sort of prospect, but they are really media savvy. They always have been. So yeah, I was working at Time Warner Cable, and we got credentials to the weekend, and it was nothing like it is now. But they played it at Brendan Byrne Arena back in 1982. It was a fun time. Larry Bird was the MVP of the game.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I was most definitely not alive. I wasn't even in the process of being conceived at that point. So, yeah, a little bit before my time. But then again,
most of my stories are before your time, unfortunately.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, it's like that could be said about me and some people a little bit younger than me too. So it all evens out. It all evens out. I'm gonna maybe not poke fun so much at your age anymore. So because I'm like ancient when it comes to like say athlete age. So I'm pretty sure John Elway retired around my age. So again. Mm-hmm. It's all relative, John. It's all relative. But excuse me. No, nonetheless, Bruins won. They're 3-0. Second time, 2 years in a row. Obviously, they got up to that fantastic start last year. And I joke about winning all the games because I don't think any Bruins fan is going to necessarily care if they win a bunch of regular season games. It's obviously about the playoffs. But it's fun to have hockey back. Obviously, the baseball. Full swing postseason. Astros played last night. Diamondbacks, they won a game. Thank God, because they would have been down 3-0. And it really makes that Dodgers loss even more head scratching. Especially for the most part through 3 games, Arizona really has been overmatched.
They scored 2 runs the entire series, and yet they're still in it somehow.
It's incredible.
They won 2-1. Yeah. That's baseball. I mean, baseball's the weirdest of those sports. You see blowouts, and then all of a sudden, someone sneaks back into the series, and now there's some pressure on Philadelphia, although Philadelphia is better than Arizona. But Arizona's playing very loose at this point. They've gone as far as they probably could expect. Philadelphia is now considered maybe the team to beat, although I just think as long as Houston's still alive, they're the team to beat because you can't kill those guys. They just keep reappearing. They're like, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, speaking of swings and scoring, pun intended, I guess. First 2 games, how many runs did they score? And they've what 16 the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So
their offense is elite. They can wake up and put up a bunch of runs because again, it's a deep lineup.
Yeah, no, well, and that's to your point. That's why it's like, all right, just never count out Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, Houston, because again, it's they've been there too often. They've done it in too many different situations. They've done it pitching. They've done it hitting. So we'll see. I think a Philadelphia Houston matchup in the World Series would be. I think that I mean you can't go wrong with that, to be honest with you.
There'll be a rematch of last year's World Series, and also you get a chance maybe at some point in the game of seeing Justin Verlander facing Bryce Harper in a big situation. That would be must-watch TV.
When was the last rematch?
I think the Yankees. Boy, that's a good one because the Phillies went back-to-back years. They won in '08 over Tampa, and they lost to the Yankees in '09. Boy,
Yeah.
that's a good one. A rematch in the World Series. That just doesn't happen because you see these teams go up and down and up and down. I'm gonna put my thinking cap on for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask our
Just go right to
producers.
Google.
Yeah, my producers, Google. Um, let's see. Da, 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 da. Okay, this is not the easy to read format that I was hoping. I just need a very, very clear list. Um, has it really been
It seems
since 1978 and 77?
that was Dodgers Yankees.
Yeah.
Wow, it's that long ago.
Wow.
That's a long time ago. Yeah, because it's so rare in baseball because a team will have a really good season and then they don't make the playoffs the next year. Now there's a better chance of that happening now because the playoffs have been expanded. Back then, only 4 teams made the playoffs, so it was difficult to
Right.
thread that needle and have a rematch. But yeah, that's a man. That's a good one.
Yeah, it seems almost impossible, to be honest with you. I honestly thought, I mean, it's certainly not in the last 10 years or so, but maybe I was just overlooking something, especially maybe in the late 90s or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, the Yankees were always there, but one year they're playing San Diego, the next
Right,
year they're
right.
playing the Braves, then the Mets, then the Diamondbacks, and then they missed a year and then went back in '03 against the Marlins. So yeah, and the Red Sox, as great as the Red Sox have been, they've never gone to back-to-back World Series
I mean,
during this time,
they
and neither
played
have the
St.
Giants,
Louis
even
a
though they've
couple
won one.
times,
Yeah,
but
yeah, years apart, like 9 years apart, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a pretty interesting thing that it just doesn't happen very often in baseball. It doesn't really happen in football. I think the last rematch would be Buffalo Dallas back 30 years ago.
right,
Super
right.
Bowl.
And again, I mean, it
So,
kind of speaks to how hard it is to
mhm.
get to the championship game or series or whatever. And in this case, you've had a lot of teams that have gone back to back, like obviously gone to 2 straight Super Bowls or 3 straight Super Bowls, or they've gone to 4 straight World Series or whatever. But you need that counterpart to also return. And again, I mean, that speaks to the parity in the league, I guess. You don't have that many dominant teams well, I mean, again, it's not that you don't have the same dominant team. I mean, they're kind of the same every year, but especially in football, it's like all you need is a couple plays for things to go wrong, and next thing you know, your season's over, and you're sitting there wondering what happened. Baseball, you could just run into the hot team, or you could just go cold. I mean, that's the thing in baseball. It's like you just go cold for a couple days, and that's it. I mean, it's very certainly possible. I mean, and again, baseball is just that way. So, anyways, it was fun. It is fun, and like I said, I mean, it's nice to see different matchups. I would actually kind of almost prefer to see a rematch though this year. One to kind of end that streak of not having a World Series rematch in wow, I got to do this math now. 8 years plus 7, what
45,
45? Yeah,
45 years,
45 years. Yeah. So, um, anyways, yeah, last night Jaguars kind of held off a pretty late rally there by the Saints. They jumped out to that early lead, and give the Saints credit. They were right there in it, and boy, whew, what a costly drop there in the end zone, and that's going to be a huge what if for Saints fans. Well, I mean, again, it's all relative because the Saints don't really seem like they're going anywhere. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is going to matter much. But at least for the next few days, I'm sure fans are going to be reliving that drop in the end zone, and that's a tough one to rebound from, especially on third and goal, and essentially a chance to tie the game late.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that, obviously New Orleans is now 3-4, but how many wins is it going to take to win the NFC South? Maybe 9. Like you've got Atlanta, that's a 500 team. Tampa's 3-2, but they don't look like a real contender. Right. So someone's going to win that division with 9 wins, and if you have an opportunity to pull off that game last night, you get to 4 wins, and you're almost halfway there, and we're approaching midseason, and gives them a little vibe because they still have a good defense. Although Jacksonville did a good job against it, but yeah, the NFC South is most likely you just have one playoff participant, and probably 9 wins wins that division.
What happened to Calvin Ridley, man? I'm asking for as a fantasy owner and someone who bet, another pun intended, bet on his resurgence and was certainly satisfied after that first week. But what do you have? One catch last night, just a couple targets. This is a guy who by all accounts, is an elite pass catcher, or at least elite talent wise. It just seems odd that he seems to be an afterthought sometimes in this offense.
Yeah, I mean he's missed pretty much 2 seasons, right? Because he got suspended at some point in 2021, missed all of 2022, and sometimes it takes a while to get back to your previous level, or maybe you never get back to that previous level, especially in that sport. You can't be away for 2 years and then just step back in. Look at Deshaun Watson. He's not even closely approached what he was in Houston after missing a year and a half as well. So maybe Calvin Ridley, this is what you're going to get from him. They didn't give up much to get him. So, it was a good move in that sense. And maybe he'll have a few games this year where he, helps out Trevor Lawrence and the rest of that offense. But yeah, you would expect him to just step in and be ready. Sometimes you think if a guy takes a year off, he's going to come back rejuvenated. But again, sometimes it takes a while to get back into the rhythm.
Yeah, and look, I mean, receiver's a hard spot to do that too, especially because you're also trying to, you're trying to catch up with the quarterback. You're trying to go in sync, and look, even the quarterback is trying to figure things out. He doesn't have it all figured out. So there's a lot of there can be disconnect here. I mean, we see one week this Jags offense look really good. Next week, kind of they have their moments and everything like that. And look, I mean, you get a guy like Calvin Ridley going, then all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more potent. But yeah, look, it's good for the Jags. Another division that's really kind of just there for the taking. I don't think Tennessee's really any good. The Colts are certainly a tough out, but they're rocking with Gardner Minshew the rest of the season, or at least certainly not Anthony Richardson. So, and Houston, honestly, Houston is probably the biggest competition in that division and the biggest threat, but I still think the Jaguars are a step above them. It's just, to me, I look at the Jags and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to take them seriously yet.
Is it the helmet? Is it the uniform?
I look,
something like that, or the fact that they have like very little history. Like they haven't been relevant for more than 1 year. But 2017, they made the game.
It's that they go and they almost lose to the Saints. They had an opportunity to beat the Chiefs.
But the Saints were 3-3 coming into the game. I mean, they're not pathetic. The Saints, they did beat the Patriots 34-0.
We're talking. We're talking about. I'm talking about expectations, as in the Jags being AFC title contenders. Like I don't see them as that. Especially when you have. Look, they've had very few opportunities to really prove themselves, and that's what I'm basing it on. What else can I base it on? So you go up against the Chiefs, a Chiefs team that isn't at its peak, and you fail to score 6 times in the red zone, or whatever it was. He was 0 for 6, Trevor Lawrence, in the red zone. I mean, that's concerning. You want to see them go out and beat these really good teams. And I just, I don't know, like they go out, they beat the Bills, but I think you even brought it up before. It's like, how much of an advantage of it is, was it for Jacksonville to have already been overseas and to play a Bills team that clearly looked not necessarily prepared for that. So I'm not necessarily saying that, that's a big win for the Jags. There's some extenuating circumstances there. Anyways, that's I don't know. Like I said, maybe it is. Maybe it's the lack of history. Maybe it's the Jaguars, and eventually, I just assume that they're going to screw it up somehow. But I'm just not ready to look at them as an elite AFC contender. And look, I don't know if there is many out there, to be honest with you. We've been talking about it for weeks now. It seems like it's a down season for elite teams. I think we have a lot of very good teams, but I don't think we have any elite teams out there. And I think that has a lot to do with quarterback play too.
Yeah, I mean, offense is down. We talked about it briefly yesterday. 2020, the average score per game was 51 points. It's down to 44. That's a difference of 7 points. That's huge for a 3-year period. Why has that happened? I agree with you that quarterback play is down. You look at 5 quarterbacks that were playing in 2020 at a pretty high level are no longer in the league. Obviously, Brady, Rodgers is injured. Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger are all gone. So you lost elite quarterback play there as well. I think there's other things too, Ian. Like that was the COVID year, right? So there wasn't much contact, literal contact, in the offseason or in training camp, and I think the offenses were ahead. And do you remember, too, especially early in the season when there were no fans in the stands, the veteran quarterbacks, especially Brady and Rodgers, like toyed with the defenses. Because they, on the road, I just remember Rodgers and Brady putting up like ridiculous numbers on the road because they weren't bothered at all by the crowd. Not that the crowd should impact players like that, but it can get in the way of the offense.
Oh, sure.
Also, now defenses play the 2 high safeties, which are essentially baiting offenses to go 12, 13 plays and expecting the offenses to be perfect isn't true. Plus, you know what? I think the biggest thing, offensive line play is horrible in this league right now. Isn't it really? I mean, like quarterbacks don't have as much time to throw as they used to.
Yeah, I mean, you're still getting, there's still some pretty good units out there, but yeah, there's a lot. It does feel like it's taking a step back. Now, again, I mean, that could also be a product of poor quarterback play. I mean, that's excuse me, that's the crazy thing about it. Like, we may be looking at it like I think there has been like, we talk about the Patriots and it's like, obviously they've been suffering injuries, but even David Andrews hasn't played great when he was in there. Some of their better offensive linemen haven't played great. You look to the Bengals unit has been better. The Chiefs one's been okay. I mean, at times, you get Donovan Smith, but that's, I mean, trust me, Bucks fans tried to warn Chiefs fans. That's what you're going to get every time, every big play. You better hold your breath and hope that a yellow flag doesn't hit the ground because it's likely going to be a holding call on Donovan Smith, and we've seen that already on several instances. So, so they've been okay. They haven't been spectacular. So yeah, I mean that's definitely a product of it. But I do think that quarterback play is just kind of down a little bit. We see these ups and downs from season to season. Like what year was it? Was it 2011 that we just saw this outrageous like burst in scoring? Like it was just kind of like one of those like out of nowhere. It peaked very, very high. Was that the year? I'm pretty sure it was because that was
2011 because of the lockout. Again, when you have an opportunity, the offenses can kind of mesh quicker. And then the defenses are lagging behind because there's just not that physicality. Yeah, the lockout, you come back. And didn't Brady put up like 51 on opening night or close to 500 yards of offense?
Oh, yeah.
Against Miami.
Yeah, 517.
Right, yeah. Boy, you knew that right to the exact yards. That's pretty good. But I do remember opening night because the Packers were the defending Super Bowl champions. Yes, Aaron Rodgers did win a Super Bowl. They played New Orleans.
See, I barely remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. You probably didn't even watch it in real time.
But no, I love that game. That was a great game.
That felt like a basketball game. They were just going up and down the field, and that's what happened. I mean, you had Rodgers and Brady had ridiculous years.
That wasn't the Fail Mary, was it?
No, that was 2000. That was 2012. That was
right because at Seattle. Yeah, at Seattle.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was 2011 because I think I was confusing my two lockouts.
They only lost one game that year. The Packers till the playoffs. They were 15-1 in the regular season.
Okay,
that was the year.
Yeah,
that was the year that the Packers went 15-1 and the Patriots went 13-3, and they had the 2 worst defenses in football.
Yeah,
I still love throwing that to anyone who, obviously, who's debating how great Tom Brady is, or who really should debate how great Rodgers is. He's not the greatest quarterback ever, but he's up there. But yeah, when you go 28-4 with the 2 worst defenses, the 31st and 32nd ranked defenses, that's pretty good quarterback play.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know if you get that from anyone in this league today, to be honest with you. Yes, and
probably not. No,
that includes Patrick Mahomes, folks, because hey, you know what? Through 6 weeks, people were wondering why is his numbers down. Well, I mean, doesn't have a killer cast around him. I mean, let's be honest.
He's got Nicole Hardman back.
So right. Okay. No. Well, you know what? I changed my mind. I will reevaluate how I see things. But look, and I'm actually going to pull up something someone shared just recently. Hold on, I know I have it right here. It's coming up. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I did retweet it, so I can probably find it. But it's kind of it's pinpointing a little bit more of the discrepancy when it comes to reliance on yards after the catch, John. And, it is something to kind of behold. So since 2006, and this is playoffs included, and a shout out to a very unbiased account, at TB_facts. That's Tom Brady facts for those of you
I thought
out
it was
there.
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, well, Terry Bradshaw once used the pseudonym Tom Brady to get into the hospital. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Is that what he used?
Yeah.
Only Terry Bradshaw would figure that one out.
Well, that was in the remarkable thing about this was it was in the 70s before Tom Brady was even born. So yeah. I'm talking about when he was a player. It was to like hide his identity. Yeah, fun fact.
Yeah,
right?
same initials.
Yeah,
Sure.
same initials.
Same number. Same number.
Very bland name.
TB12.
Before Tom Brady became Tom Brady. So, anyways,
too bad there couldn't have been a Tom in the Brady bunch. That would have really been fun.
No, trust me. I still have flashbacks from those early like CBS promos of all like just over the top like the Brady Bunch like little videos that they used to play, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. I'd rather that than Sweet Caroline though. So, but I digress. We're getting too much into Boston sports specific music. Don't want to do that. So, anyways, back to what I was going to say. Since 2006, playoffs included, John. Patrick Mahomes, 100 games, 50% of his yardage comes from yard after the catch. How many games? 62, i.e., 62%. Very simple number. On the flip side, John, Aaron Rodgers, 248 games, 105 of those games for only 42%. So that's a pretty significant drop, difference. We're not just talking about like, everyone benefits from yards after the catch. No, I mean, this is a pretty big swing. Tom Brady, 292 yards, only 102 games. That seems pretty remarkable when you think about the narratives around Tom Brady for a percentage of 34.9, so 35%. So at a clip of nearly twice the rate that Tom Brady gets help from yards after the catch, Patrick Mahomes does. So now people are wondering why his stats are down when, well, you don't have that elite talent at all positions across the field. So, mystery solved, John. It's pretty simple.
I'd like to know the person who spent time to go through every game and get those numbers. That's pretty interesting and maybe troubling. But it's obviously
there's a lot of
labor intensive.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of great resources out there to filter and find these statistics without too much effort. Not to go and like chart every single one of these games, but
maybe we should spend more time trying to cure diabetes or something.
Well, hey.
I'm just kidding, but no, those are obviously interesting stats. But maybe it speaks to the coaching of Andy Reid. Like,
sure, no, absolutely,
that,
absolutely.
Maybe,
but you still need. I mean, you still need talent at these positions. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you can have the greatest scheme in the world if you don't have the players to execute. Then it's not necessarily going to happen. And so again, when you don't have I think Travis Kelce's still a really good player. I don't think he's the same player he was last year. That might be because of the couple little injuries he suffered over the first couple months of the season. Maybe because of his age or a combination of both, John. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that a 34-year-old wide receiver, I'm just going to start calling him a wide receiver because that's what he is. A 34-year-old wide receiver might start to slow down a little bit. I mean, it is what it is.
And like a 71-year-old head coach.
Yes. How Andy Reid's he's what, 67?
Oh, he's 65.
65.
I'm talking about some other coach.
Oh yeah. Well, again, we'll save that for some other time. For you.
Got a long season.
Well, but it's going to be possibly the first time they lose 4 games in a row since 2002. But yeah. So you look at that. There's no Tyreek Hill for a second season. I don't think whatever Juju is with the Patriots is not the same as what he was last year. I think he was more motivated, it seems, and certainly again in a better offensive situation. Because to your point, that Andy Reid and / Eric Bieniemy, another name that's no longer there in Kansas City, offense was, well, it gave him more opportunity, let's be honest. And of course, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. I'm not saying that he's not. The point is, he's been very reliant on the players around him, and I think that the narrative's a little bit different. So it's curious to some, but not curious to me as to why he may be struggling statistically and has the same sort of stat line as Russell Wilson this season. So it's not a surprise to me, John. It's not.
Well, I think, obviously you look at that, and I think with Juju Smith-Schuster, he's also not healthy this year. He's kind of limping around there on the football field. He was healthier last year, and then there was less pressure on him in a sense that he was the third option or the fourth option. He signed a sizable free agent contract to come here, replace Jacoby Myers, and that hasn't worked out. But yeah, I mean, I think when we look at all of this, again, offense is down this year. So if that's the case, it's going to impact every team in the league except for Miami. Somehow Miami's getting through this because, first of all, we talked about who they played so far. Like, I think they're going to have a much tougher test this Sunday against Philadelphia. I mean, when you have 4 wins over 3 teams that have a total of 3 wins, you still have to show me more to call this a great offense. It looks like from time to time or quite often, but we have to know who they're playing against. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe Mahomes is reinventing himself. Again, there's a trade deadline coming up if they add a piece. But the bottom line is the guy's winning. So that's, he's 5-1. The defense has been really good in Kansas City, and he's done enough to get through these games. And maybe he's going to play better the second half of the season, and they'll be really dangerous.
Well, like I said, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if they continue to struggle because, again, these are some of the things that, us haters like myself, that's what people call me. They call me a hater, John. I don't hate. I don't hate at all. No. Well, maybe LeBron. But that's Aaron Rodgers too. No, I like sports. Anyways. No, I look. It just, to me, it's not necessarily a surprise. I'm not like rooting. I always look at it as a situation that, again, it's just not. I just need to see like what's going to happen, how he's going to evolve, and how this offense is going to evolve, because the Chiefs' offense in general is just not been that potent unit that I think we're all used to, and I think that creates a lot of questions, and I think that's the uncertainty of it, and maybe I'm overreacting to that. But anyways,
well, they scored 19 against Denver. That's troubling.
Well,
to me,
that's
right.
Yeah,
because the Denver gave up 31 to the Jets, let alone 70 to the Dolphins. Like, I'm not expecting teams to put up 70 every week, but 19 points. They kind of bogged down in the red zone. Ended up kicking 4 field goals. Luckily, they have a really good field goal kicker. But to beat maybe Buffalo or Cincinnati in the postseason, you're going to need more than field goals.
Right, exactly, and that's the concerning thing too. It's like, who have the Chiefs really played?
Jacksonville, probably their best win, I would say, because Jacksonville is 5-2. I mean, they lost to the Lions.
Yep.
Beat Denver. I'm almost trying to blank on who they beat. They really haven't played much. You're right. They really haven't. I mean, Denver, that's not exactly a riveting win. They won one game on the road. I normally remember everything.
Yeah. You're like an elephant.
There. Yeah, I am. Yeah,
it's elephants, right? Do they remember everything, or is that they just retain water?
I think they do. I remember that
camel.
They remember things. Camel, but yeah, no, the Chiefs haven't. Look, it's still 6 weeks in, but now you're going to start to see what these teams are going to be doing going forward. But yeah, I mean, their best win was probably against Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily that great of a win. You know what I mean? Because I felt like Jacksonville kind of threw up on themselves a bit down there. They had the opportunities and just failed, and it's unfortunate.
Jacksonville felt like they were playing on a Canadian Football League field.
Yeah,
the end zones were 20 yards deep.
Right.
How many passes did he complete beyond the end line, which is not what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, and like I said, any one of those passes being a little bit closer, we might be talking a whole different story about Jacksonville right now. So, anyways, let's it's Friday, so that means we're going to get into our picks for the day, so or for the weekend rather. It's week 7, so we're on a roll here. We've been doing this for a while now, certainly a while overall, but a while this season, and we're going to keep it going. So, Cleveland at Indianapolis. I mentioned earlier, Gardner Minshew is going to be kind of the driving force for the time being. But no more Anthony Richardson down for the season. I'll take Cleveland. They had a really nice win this past week, and with or without Deshaun Watson, it doesn't really matter to me. I think that this Cleveland team can beat Indianapolis. In fact, maybe the Browns are better without Deshaun Watson. You never know. So I'll take the Browns.
Browns have that great defense right now, statistically the number one defense in football, but they're prone to ups and downs. Like that was a big win over San Francisco. Are they a little bit flat going into Indianapolis? I still think their defense is so dominant that it'll be enough for them to win.
All right, next, Buffalo at New England, and like the Bills have sometimes a tendency to play down to their opponents. I don't think that's going to happen here. That seems to be the one thing that they care the most about is beating New England. Super Bowls be damned, success in the playoffs be damned. Let's just beat New England because they whooped our ass for so many years. I think Buffalo wins this game pretty handily.
Yeah, they had their slip up a week ago against the Giants, where they were fortunate to beat the Giants on Sunday night, 14-9 in upstate New York. I mean, that was a troubling game for Buffalo. They found a way to win it somehow. The Giants lost it as much as anything else. But yeah, they're going to be focused this Sunday when they come into Foxborough, and they'll be able to handle the Patriots.
All right, next we have Detroit at Baltimore. I like the Lions. We gave our top 5 teams earlier in the week, and we both had the Lions at number 1, and for a good reason. I mean, they seem to be playing the best football on both sides of the ball than any team right now, and Baltimore will be a tough task, but I think the Lions will have a pretty easy day.
Yeah, I think the Lions, they're just right now, I think, are the best team in football, been the most consistent. And this would be a huge win because Baltimore's never an easy place to play. Ravens are well coached. They're 4-2, but I think the Lions right now are superior.
All right, next we have the Rams hosting Pittsburgh. I like the Rams in this one. They've surprised me a little bit this season, and just quite frankly, I think they're just better than Pittsburgh because, well, that's just how it is. So I like the Rams at home. I mean, Pittsburgh heading to the West Coast should be a pretty good day for the Rams.
I like the Steelers. I think they'll bye week, get some of their injured guys better. Upset special. That could be the upset special this week. There we go. Pittsburgh over the Rams.
There you go. I have no idea what order this is going in, so I might be mixing in some 4:00 games because I've just been kind of going right down my list. So, but next we have the Chargers at Kansas City, and I took the Chargers in this one. Trust me, and this is in spite of Brandon Staley. I'm not trying to give him credit or going to say that he's going to have outcoach Andy Reid. But, we've already talked about it. The Chiefs have struggled to score points. I think the Chargers are certainly capable of scoring points. And look, it's a divisional round matchup. These things are usually a little bit grittier. And probably this might be they're not quite the Detroit Lions. Maybe they're not the Jaguars. But, I don't think they're too far off from the Jags. I think they're, both teams are kind of actually really the same, if you think about it. So they're both really good teams. We'll see how far that actually takes them. So yeah, I like the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have gone into Arrowhead or whatever they're calling it now, and they've won. They won a couple of years ago. Herbert's played well there. They were not impressive Monday night against Dallas. He missed some open throws. I like them too. I think they can pull off the upset because the Chiefs have been kind of playing with fire all season long. A lot of close wins, and again, that divisional rival. These teams know each other really well, and I think the Chargers can match them offensively. I think they're even better at this point, so I'll go with the Chargers as well.
Yeah, and close wins, and I'm not saying that, and I'm trying to distinguish. There's two ways to look at this. I'm not saying that like the refs helped them. I think that's silly because I think it's tough officiating, but they've certainly had some beneficial things happen towards the end of games that have helped them wrap up these wins. So to your point, yeah, they're kind of playing with fire here, and you know what? Maybe one of those calls that don't go their way, and they're sitting on 3 losses or 2 losses or whatever. So, but anyways, next we have Miami at Philadelphia. A pretty big test for, I'd say, both teams. I think Philadelphia has, up and down all season. They finally suffered their first loss. Jalen Hurts wasn't that good 3 interceptions. It just wasn't going to cut it. They're going to have to score a lot of points, and you know what? This is going to be a huge task for their defense to kind of keep Miami in check. And excuse me, I think they do it. It's Philadelphia at home. I think they're going to Miami's more explosive offensively, but Philadelphia is not that far off and is certainly capable of putting up a lot of points. And I think maybe this is the week they kind of put it all together. And they've been woken up from that first loss of the season. So give me Philadelphia.
I'll take Miami. I don't think Philadelphia can deal with these wide receivers from Miami. Not that anyone can. And
that's the only thing the Patriots. Honestly, it's the only thing the Patriots have done well this season is shut down Tyreek Hill. So
yeah.
As crazy as that sounds.
They backed up as far back as it could be. Yeah, they were able to run the ball against the Patriots because they were so locked into trying to contain Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I like the Dolphins in this game. I think that the cornerbacks of Philadelphia are suspect, and I think that two in the gang will make them pay for it.
All right, next Atlanta at Tampa Bay. I'm interested to see how Tampa Bay comes back. Kind of a sloppy game last week, and you wonder, is this going to be closer to what we expected? I didn't think this team was going to win too many games. You're going to get some nice moments from Baker Mayfield, but it's not going to be consistent. This should be a pretty easy landing for them against an Atlanta team that's certainly struggling on offense, and Tampa, at the very least, can create turnovers. So at least it seems like they can this year. Last year, not so much. But if they can create some turnovers, I think they can have a pretty successful win. But if they struggle against Atlanta, then I think it's safe to say that, that 3-1 start was a little bit more of a mirage for Tampa Bay, and they're going to probably not really compete even in a down NFC South. So I will take Tampa Bay in this one, but I'm not entirely confident.
Yeah, these are two teams that we can't quite figure, week to week. I'll just take Atlanta to be different. I'll take the Falcons to just be a little different.
All right. Commanders at Giants. I got the Commanders. I'm hoping a NFC East rivalry game just, makes this a very entertaining and intriguing game, but manufacturing some intrigue, I can't do it right now.
No, not at all. Huge markets, right?
Yeah.
Washington, New York. This is like an old-time rival, but yeah, Washington's better than the Giants.
All right, next we have the Bears hosting the Raiders. No Jimmy Garoppolo for the Raiders, dealing with an injury there. I like Chicago at home. They've had some nice moments offensively. They feel like they might be kind of starting to figure things out a little bit against the Raiders team that I'm not really high on at all, unless they're playing the Patriots, and even then, it got a little dicey there at the end. So I don't know how much credit I'm going to give the Raiders. So I'll take Chicago.
I'll go with the Raiders. No Justin Fields for Chicago, so now it's a battle of backup quarterbacks. Brian Hoyer against whoever. I'll take the Raiders. I just Tom Brady is on the precipice of becoming owner of the team, so they'll start winning a lot.
Yeah, well, until his pen is printing his name on paper or signing his name on paper, the Raiders will continue to lose. That's kind of what's holding up the deal right now. Brady's saying, "Hey, see what's happening? Closer his pen gets to the paper, they start to do good things." It happens in real time too. It's actually quite fascinating. Next, we have Seattle at Arizona. I'm taking the Cardinals. I don't know. My gut just says Cardinals.
Okay.
Going to Seattle, the big upset. Let's get a little crazy here. Let's get nuts.
All right, let's go crazy. To quote Prince, I'll take Seattle. I mean, they're one of my sleeper teams in the NFC. They can't lose at home to Arizona if they have real hopes of making the playoffs. So I think they'll take care of business.
All right, next we have Denver hosting the team formerly known as John's team, the Packers. I got the Packers in this one. I mean, Denver's just not good. There's really nothing redeeming about the Broncos. Nothing. So I'll take the Packers.
All right, I'll take Denver only because both teams have had a long stretch to get ready for this game. The Packers had a bye week. Denver played on a Thursday, so maybe these two teams will be really focused when they get together. I'll take Denver. I mean, Russell Wilson's played okay this year. I mean, he really has. he's not the problem with that team. It's their defense. I don't know if Green Bay has the potential to expose that defense. I'll take Denver.
Yeah, I mean he's been better than he was last year. He's been okay, but Denver's still not getting what they expected, and certainly nothing really close because they brought in Russell Wilson to be a game changer. And look, I mean, that was a misstep on their behalf. I never felt like he was that. No, if you want to call me a hater, you can call me a Russell Wilson hater because
we do.
Well, okay, fair enough. Actually, there was one user on Twitter in particular that we haven't seen much of him these last couple of years. Surprise, surprise. But he was a really big Russell Wilson fan, and I kind of got under his skin a little bit. But no, look, but the reality of it was I just always saw him as like as a pretty good quarterback. Not like people are trying to convince me he was an elite guy, and I'm like, look, the MVP process is flawed. It's not perfect. It's not like the be all end all, but it was always shocking that he just never got a single vote, and some, you know what I mean? And there was other there's other factors too. This isn't just the MVP thing, but you start looking back at some of his big time moments, and they're kind of down moments, throwing the interception in the Super Bowl. He's had other crucial turnovers in big games in the red zone. You know what I mean? These things start to add up, and you're like, wait a minute. Elite quarterbacks don't do that consistently. And that was kind of what it was. So that was always my gripe with him. And then, again, he goes to Denver, and it's just been a dumpster fire since. So, but yeah, so anyways, San Francisco at Minnesota to end it all. San Francisco dealing with some injuries. Christian McCaffrey's a little bit banged up. Brock Purdy's coming off probably his worst game as a starter in the regular season. I like San Francisco in this one, but if Christian McCaffrey's a little banged up, if Brock Purdy might be feeling it a little bit, this game might be a little bit closer than I expect. But that's kind of Minnesota's thing, right, John? They make you feel like they're a good team by keeping games close, but they never win.
They're like the Chargers. Every game the Chargers or the Vikings play in is always a one-score game, and you kind of look at Kirk Cousins. He puts up good stats, doesn't quite finish it off, and then you've got Brandon Staley that has these head-scratching decisions for the Chargers. They did meet earlier in the year. The Chargers survived, but yeah, I think San Francisco, coming off a loss, will be really focused. Even if they're banged up a little bit, they're just better than the Vikings.
Yeah. So, all right, that's gonna do it for us here this week and today. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be back on Monday. We'll kind of wrap up this Sunday weekend and continue to talk more about Monday Night Football and all that fun stuff. But it's almost Halloween, so happy Halloween for those who celebrate all month like me. I kind of watch scary movies all the time. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Next up, Super Bowl 42, the Super Bowl DVD. That's it's quite the horror film if you're if you want me to be honest. So last week I watched LeBron's 2011 NBA final appearance. So
why did you do that?
Well,
just to rub it into me. Well, actually, that was a celebration for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was making myself feel better, but for you, that would be a horror film. So,
why don't you watch the 6 times you eliminated the Celtics from the postseason?
Yeah. Well, whatever. Yeah, you know what? I don't have a response to that. So, you know what? I'm just going to end the show. I can mute your mic and we'll just move on. So, no, thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I said, we will be back on Monday to, bring home the weekend and recap everything that happened. And perhaps, John, we will have a World Series matchup, or at least we'll know one half of the World Series matchup. So, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.